that walker toy Theo has. If you just like, if it's turned on and you just slightly walk past it, it makes like a galloping horse sound, which feels targeted. And I take it personally.
Hello!
Hey guys, welcome. I'm Abby.
And I'm Shauna.
And this is Anxious.
And Afraid.
The podcast, The Glorious Return.
We are back.
We're back.
I have had time to move.
Yes.
Thank you for giving me time.
She is all moved in.
I'm getting settled. Things are crazy. Yeah.
It's such a beautiful house too.
Oh, thank you.
Really is.
Oh, thank you.
I'm gonna move in.
Please do. I want all of your help with everything, actually. So
You're like, yeah, but it's not free. You're gonna have to work for it. Fair.
Right. So welcome back. We are back. And we usually ask each other why we're anxious. So what's been going on with you, Abby? Why are you anxious?
What made me anxious? Well, I think it was the same as last time, but
Sure.
the dentist. It's the dentist again. Like update, I went to that specialist and they're like, yeah, you have a jaw infection.
A whole jaw infection.
Just like a cute little jaw infection.
Not even just a tooth, but a whole jaw infection.
Well, it's like I had a root canal done and I think they honestly botched it pretty good because I don't think they ever really cleaned out the full like infection from like why I needed the root canal.
Yikes.
So it's always been kind of a weird tooth and they finally were like, that looks weird. And so then I went in and they're like, yeah, there's a pretty good infection going on in there. I'm like, sweet. So basically since like I got that done in like 2016. So it's just been like percolating up there. And so basically I have to get my root canal redone.
I'm so sorry.
Which I was very proud of myself and I was very brave. And I was like, I have a lot of anxiety. Hi, dentist I've never met before. You seem nice. I have a lot of anxiety. I have a lot of dental anxiety specifically.
You poor thing.
Yeah. And he like was really nice about it. And he like patted me on the shoulder and he was like,
Aw.
we're going to take care of you. And I was like, thank you. And they're giving me some anxiety meds for the procedure, which I've never taken these before. So if anyone has any experience with Halcyon, let me know.
I'm very curious to see how you react.
I don't know what to expect because like you read online, they're like, yeah, it's like temporary amnesia or something or short-term memory loss. I'm like,
That sounds so sketch.
No, I'm like, I don't know how to feel.
You're gonna turn into Dory and never remember like anything.
I'm already halfway there. I don't need that much help.
That's true. Me too.
So yeah, they're like, you have to take a pill the night before, which I don't understand. And then one like an hour before the procedure. And I've already had to move this appointment back because I also might have jury duty on the same day.
Oh, lots going on for you. That's right.
Yeah, as the procedure was supposed to be. And I like forgot about it. And then it was too late to cancel it. And so I might not even have jury duty. I have to call to find out.
Because that's always fun.
Yeah.
So much fun.
I am actually one of the weird people that doesn't hate jury duty. I wish I would actually get picked. I mean, I have been picked before, but it's never like fully gone to trial. But I think that would be really fun.
I haven't got picked. I've been asked a few times. Well, one time I got out of it because I just had Rylan. So I used that excuse.
Yeah.
But yeah, and I'm scared for some reason to do it.
It was really fun, like, to go through the experience and actually get, like, picked as... Well, actually, I tried to get out of it as a juror. I didn't want to... Because I think we were going on a trip or something, and I was like, this is terrible timing, even though I would love to be on a jury. And I was like, I don't trust the police. And they're like, we pick you, Pikachu. And I was like, damn it! I was really thought that was going to work for me. Because, like, all of the witnesses were cops.
Right.
So now there's just a bunch of cops out there that think I don't trust them.
Well,
what are you gonna do? So anyway, that's what I have going on. What about you?
I mean, I already mentioned the house. We're feeling settled. That's good. There's spiders coming out, which is not my vibe. So I'm like, no, I don't. They're like the big jumping spiders too. Again,
Those ones, as we've discussed, I don't hate as much.
yeah. You think you're crazy, and you think they're cute somehow.
They're kind of cute. They're kind of furry.
No.
If you see them up close, they've got like a little furry.
They are thick. They are a solid dot of spider, and it's disgusting how they move.
I have a picture to show you of a real spider that is living outside of our house right now that is like big enough to eat a small fish. I'm pretty sure it is
Ew.
huge. It's huge. She is thick. She's an absolute unit. It's
A
not
unit?
It's not fair, but they call them common giant house spiders because they need like a better name. They need a name
Is it
befitting
like-
what it looks like.
Ew, it feels like we're in Australia because, like, I'm never going to go because they have, like, actual bird-eating spiders.
Yeah, that's how I feel about Australia as well. I'm like, oh man, it's so beautiful. I would love to go there. And then
Same.
you just are like, oh wait, they have like scorpions and huge spiders and like poisonous snakes, and it's just always trying to kill you, I think.
All the pictures you see of, like, things in the bathroom and the toilet, I'm just, no, that's nightmare fuel.
So anyway, I'm going to show you a picture later that might make you throw up.
I would prefer if you forgot and didn't show me, so hopefully that works out for me.
We'll see.
That's so minuscule, but I mean, I don't know, too many things.
Yeah, you have a lot going on.
I do have a lot going
how
on
do you
too.
even pick?
I don't know how to pick.
I think moving is good enough.
Yeah, I just wish life would let me deal with one thing at a time. And, you know, life is just like, no, how about like 5 things? And like some of them are really negative. Like, I'm like, okay, that's fine.
Love that for me.
Love that for me and the timing of everything. That's just like my theme of the like last 2 years
Yeah.
is like the literal worst timing for literally everything that's happened.
You are the poster child for when it rains, it pours.
I really am. And I'm really tired of it. I really could use a break, universe.
Yeah.
But I'm good. Things are good. I'm glad we're back.
Great.
Everything's fine. I'm not laughing, crying. No, things are fine. But it's funny. We got to segue over to something we got to take care of, don't we, Abby?
Yeah, because
We got this email like
Yeah.
a while ago, like when we were first like, oh man, we're not going to be recording for a bit because I got to move.
yeah.
But we remembered this email. So we got to mention it.
Yeah, because we have a shout out to give. Sorry it took so long to happen, but
Right.
shout out to Kimmy from B and
Thank you, James,
Fam.
for emailing us. Yes.
That was a fun little rapport. We got to talk to someone. They're from James and Fam are from Merseyside,
Merseyside? Yes.
UK.
UK, you guys.
UK.
You guys are far away from us and you're listening to us? It still boggles my mind.
The motherland reaching
The
out.
motherland. The Queen's land.
Yes. But
Wow.
Kimmy and B,
Thank you for listening. We know about you. Is that weird? We're talking.
isn't it weird, home slice? Like we're just talking at you. We're just like in my house. In
Hope you guys are
Oregon.
doing great. All
Yeah.
hanging out.
Yeah. Hope things are good. Hopefully everything is, there's been no dramatic events in the last month that we've been gone. So shout out to you.
Thanks for listening.
Yeah. And I'm just going to give a shout out to Heather because she was just at my house.
Oh, hi, Heather.
Hi, Heather. Hi, friend. She brought her cute little baby over and we got to hang out for a bit, catch up.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Are we ready?
Ew.
I know.
I guess so.
Abby, you're so gracious and you're taking your turn again.
Oh, right. Yeah. You guys did already have to hear from me, but I'm back.
We love you. It's like, I don't care because I love you so much and all of your stories. So let's go.
Yay, yay, yay. Okay. So I guess we're doing it. Let's go.
We're getting in.
I know I say I have a doozy of a story a lot, but it's only because they're certified doozies. Like we can all agree, right?
Yeah.
So this isn't going to be any different. In fact, it is so wild that I'm going to have to make this a 2-parter,
Wow.
which is like our first 2-parter since returning.
Yeah. Of course it's you.
I mean,
I'm excited.
I'm verbose. I can't stop. The typing is over the top.
It's the books.
You wouldn't want this to be one part. We would all grow old.
No, I love the details.
Okay.
I'm just so excited because it's kind of been hyped. And so I'm like, what is this topic?
It's kind of been hyped. Honestly, I was trying to look it up. I haven't seen it done on a ton of podcasts, so that's kind of cool. So hopefully this isn't a super well-known story for everyone because I think that's always fun when it's like new and fresh. Okay, so strap in for a wild ride. Let's do this. So today I will be telling the incredible story of Louis Zamperini.
Nope.
Shaking her head, blank look on her face.
Is it an Italian name?
Yes.
Okay.
I'm going to really struggle with this because it's spelled like Louis, but pronounced Louis.
Mm-hmm, sure.
So excuse my...
We'll forgive you.
Yeah, it might happen.
It's okay.
Okay. So, I mean, I hadn't heard of this guy or this story before. I got a book recommendation, popped up on like the
I don't know books, so I don't know.
Okay, well, like when you're watching reels and it's like, hey, you might like this,
Sure,
It's
but like
that,
on the
but for
topic of books?
Yes.
What a world, I don't know.
So I got this pop up and I was like, okay, let's check it out. And then I was like, wow, the story is like insane. So, of course, I read a book. When do I not? And I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's called Unbroken, a World War II story.
Ooh, of course. You love the history. I know it.
So it's a World War II story of
It's so hard to say.
That is a really hard word.
It really is.
Of survival, resilience, and redemption by Laura Hillenbrand. And fun fact, she also wrote Seabiscuit.
Oh.
So she's like legit.
The horse, right?
Yeah.
I'm sorry.
The horse.
I'm so uneducated. I watched the movie.
Yes, it was a movie. Okay. With what's his name?
Tobey Maguire. The
yes.
OG Spider-Man.
Yes.
That was a long time ago too.
Truly.
Yuck. Okay.
All right. So it's a really good book. Can't recommend it enough. Go buy it. Go read it. It's great. Okay. So the story, or the title of the story, did just give some bits away. We know that this is during World War II. Surprise, surprise, I'm doing another World War II story. And it's also a survival story. And just to wet your whistle, I'm going to give you a couple more key words from part 1 to look forward to. Olympics. Airplanes.
Okay.
Sharks.
No. No. Abby, I can't do both. It's one or the other.
Both. I know. That's what I'm telling you. Like, strap in.
Oh, I'm scared. Okay.
Strap in. Okay, let's begin.
I don't like things over the ocean. I'm already having
This is like all of our fears like wrapped into one insane story.
Okay.
On January 26th, 1927, in Olean, New York, an 11.5-pound baby named...
Oh, no.
I know. Let's do a moment of silence for his mother. 11.5-pound baby named Louis Zamperini was born to Italian parents, Anthony Zamperini, and his mom's name is Luis. So, like, guys, you were killing me with the
I mean, it makes sense.
Luis and Louis. So, Luis Dossi. Anthony, the father, had been living on his own since 14. He used to be a boxer and a coal miner, and then he became a construction worker. Louise was 16 when she married and 18 when Louis was born. She would have 4 children total, 2 boys and 2 girls. Louis was a adventurous, spicy child. I have one of those. And Louis escaped the apartment any chance that he got. Which
escaped the apartment.
Yeah, he just escaped. He's just a toddler on the run. The family moved to Torrance, California when Louis was young. They moved into a shack with no running water and a leaky roof. Not great. So Louis didn't stop his escape habits. He left the house any chance he got.
How terrifying.
I know. I'm like, please don't let this be Theo's trajectory. Especially this next part. So at 5, Louis started smoking.
No.
He'd pick up old cigarette butts while walking to kindergarten.
What a sentence. I mean, what a different time. 100 years ago. Wow.
Walking to kindergarten.
Just
probably on
smoking.
his own. Just picking up cigarettes.
The doctors used to recommend smoking cigarettes. That's how crazy.
What a wild time.
But, that's young.
Yeah. And then at 8, he started drinking.
No.
Grabbing wine glasses off the table and drinking them under the table.
Sneaky.
Yeah. He had many accidents as a kid. He had to have his finger sewn back on by the neighbor.
Ew.
He impaled his leg on bamboo. He tried to scale an oil rig and fell into the oily water, coating himself in black oil and nearly drowning.
That's terrifying.
Mm-hmm. But his mischief didn't stop there. Louis began stealing food from neighbors and local businesses by picking locks and helping himself.
Wow. No fear.
Not at all. He was caught several times, but he would always run to get away. He also began running scams at a very young age to make money.
Wow.
He found out that some adults would give kids a quarter if they were fighting to get them to stop. So he made a deal with another boy to stage fights so that they could make money.
I mean,
it's
like really clever.
He's like a smart kid.
But dang.
Yeah. Can you imagine being this kid's parent? Like, oh.
What a nightmare.
My hair would go white. Like,
You can't control him.
He just comes home one day with his finger sewn back on by the neighbor. Like, what
Yeah,
happened today?
Right? First of all, yeah. What's that story? Because why the neighbor and not a doctor?
Well, I think because they were just really poor.
In the 1920s. Yeah, you're right.
So they're like, well, he knows how to sew.
Oh my gosh, what a life. Okay. Obviously, I can't imagine.
It was said that he was only scared of one thing: airplanes.
Oh, I get you, boo.
A pilot took him up for...
Especially back then.
I know.
I'm sorry. Boeing's bad now, but like that was like...
tin cans flying around. Like
made out of paper. My God. Okay.
So a pilot took him up once, and the speed and the altitude like terrified him, and he was just like,
I mean, it's unnatural.
Yeah.
Especially at that moment.
It's like flight isn't like as common, obviously. So
and they were like open air usually. Like you didn't have
terrifying
closure.
Seatbelts, anything. So Louis was confident, he was capable and clever with a certainty that he would succeed at whatever he put his mind to. But he was small for his age, and due to a bout with pneumonia, he struggled with exertion as his lungs hadn't fully recovered. He also struggled with racism. When his family moved to California, the neighbors were so disgusted with Italians that they petitioned the city to keep them out. But they failed. But I mean, the weight of that still like hung on the family. Like your neighbors.
Yeah, white people are not chill.
Racism, I mean, not that it's not rampant now, but like back in the day, I feel like everyone just was racist against everyone. Like
Karen times 10, so openly.
Very open.
Just to every single race that was slightly different than you.
Yeah.
It's just icky.
So gross. It's so icky. Especially like a country founded on like supposedly openness and everyone's just racist.
It's the whole thing is contradictory and oxymoronic. Right? Is that the right term?
Probably.
But just the opposite of what we say.
Yeah. So he got to struggle with that. Poor kid. I mean, the whole family did.
Yeah, I get it.
Not great. He was also bullied in school. In his teens, he fell into a tough crowd and began training to defend himself from lessons from his dad, who was like, a former boxer.
That's right.
As he got older, his temper became short and hot, and Louis was becoming a menace. He fought constantly and committed petty crimes. And as a teen, he grew larger and the bullies began to fear him. While in high school in 1931, Louis broke in to his school and he stole tickets to the upcoming sports game. And like in like a Robin Hood move, he just started giving the tickets away. To students.
So he has like some cool moments.
Yeah, there's a bit of a Robin Hood quality to him. He was eventually caught and sent to the principal's office where he was punished by being forbidden to like participate in any sports teams or activities. So Louis's brother Pete found out and convinced the principal that Louis craved attention, but only ever got it by getting into trouble. So maybe if he could play sports and accomplish something positive, he would...
Yeah, focus your energy on that type thing.
Might turn it around.
Sure.
And it worked. Louis was made eligible for sports in 1932. He idolized his big brother Pete, who graduated with 10 varsity letters for being in track and field.
Dang.
Yeah, his brother set the school's mile record at 5 minutes and 5 seconds.
Whoa.
I know. I'm like, I've only ever run the mile in 8 minutes because I was told if I didn't, I would have to run it again. So, which didn't make any sense, but you had to run it in 8 minutes or do it again.
Ew.
And I've never gotten a better time.
I barely ran on those mile runs.
They sucked. I'm not a runner. I don't understand it. Okay, so Pete became determined to make his brother Louis a runner. He worked hard to train with Louis, and soon he began to win races. That summer, Louis did almost nothing but run until it became his obsession. He gave up drinking and smoking and began practicing holding his breath at the local pool until he could hold his breath for 3 minutes and 45 seconds.
Whoa. That's too
so long.
That's really impressive.
I feel like if I could get to 30 seconds, that would be super impressive. But I'd probably die before then.
Even a minute, I think, is impressive.
So after he beat everyone in his own age bracket, he began competing at colleges and beating them all by like a lot.
Wow.
In 1934, track and field championship in the championship, Louis smashed the national high school mile record at 4 minutes and 23 seconds.
Wow.
And that record would stand for 19 years.
Dang.
He became a celebrity and was regularly in the newspapers. People would cram into the stands like just to watch him train.
Wow.
And he had his eyes set on the grandest prize, the Olympics. So there was the 1936 Olympics in Berlin. And in 1936, he would be 19 years old. Can you imagine going to the Olympics at 19?
19.
That's wild. So he trained obsessively with his brother, who's also at this point a track star in his own right. There wasn't a mile run in the Olympics to compete for, but there was the 1,500 meter race. Louis soon concluded, though, that as fast as he wasn't as fast as some of the older men competing for the same spot who had several years of training on Louis. So instead, he decided to train for the 500 meter race, which he might have a better shot at. So Louis smashed more records, and then he made it to the final Olympic trials.
Wow.
The trials were held in New York in July during the hottest summer on record in the U.S.
Whoa.
The competitors were training in 106-degree heat.
No, thank you.
Running in
No.
106-degree heat.
Sorry, I think you said 500 meters earlier, and it's 5,000.
Oh.
You're right. It is. I literally even typed
Good catch.
5,000. Wow, Michael, good catch. Are you just like,
Nice.
how many miles is that? Is that like 5, 3.5?
Someone who runs track and field would know that, but I didn't.
Yeah, I don't think any of us were track and field people.
Nope. Went right over my head. I'm like, sure, that seems shorter or something. Yeah.
So I asked Bing, and Bing says it's just over 3 miles.
Okay.
Okay.
300 mile race. And go.
Oh, okay, Roscoe.
Sorry, Roscoe's in here as per usual. Although every time I say that, if I listen back, I can never hear him. So it just sounds like we're referring to like a ghost
That's fine.
who's not here. Okay, so they're training in this 106-degree heat. They all begin to rapidly drop weight. On the day of the trial, the temperature was well over 100 degrees in the stadium, and athletes were fainting on the field.
Wait, it's also. Oh, hey. Okay. No, continue.
Yeah.
Sorry.
The runners' feet were literally burned by the heat coming off of the track, and the ones who didn't faint pushed through. Louis stayed in the middle of the pack as the race started and saved his strength for the end. On the last lap, he burst into speed, passing the front runners and coming in second place. But later it was determined that they were so close they called it a tie.
Wow.
So he was going to Berlin as the youngest distance runner to ever make the team.
Wow.
Right? Just some scrappy Italian kid from like the wrong side of the tracks, like
Sure.
coming
Like the
up.
underdog.
Love that.
And also like being declared second, but then we're like, oh, it's a tie, so you get to go. Like that's wild.
I know, just like I guess it was so close. Like it was like a photo finish kind of thing. Like they're really having to look at it, and they decided he got to go. So very cool.
Awesome.
After arriving in Berlin to the Olympic Village, Louis noticed all of the banners proudly displaying the Nazi swastika.
Oh no.
So this is during that time. This is before the war, but this is like they are ramping up.
They are revving up.
Yeah.
Ooh,
And they
I
saw
hate it.
a third of the men were dressed in uniform, which made such a crazy time to be there. Like I wanted like the tension building, like
Yeah, that's scary.
just the crazy fanaticism building. Like, ooh, that would be such a crazy time to be there.
Yeah, that's surreal. I can't.
He also noticed that the buses had machine gun mounts on the roof, and it was clear that Germany was displaying the strength of their growing military.
Oh.
Louis noticed the broken glass storefronts of Jewish-owned businesses and found it incredibly disturbing.
Yeah.
On August 7th, Louis readied himself for his final race. Much like his previous qualifying race, Louis stayed far behind the lead until the last lap, and then in a burst of speed began passing runners. In the end, he finished 8th, but his finish time broke all the American records at that time.
Okay.
When the race was over, Louis incredibly spotted, I don't know if you know who this is, but Joseph Goebbels. So he was the minister of propaganda for Hitler. Like, he is worst of the worst, icky.
Like part of the brains of that operation.
Just goblin man.
Ew.
Gross. Awful.
I hate it.
So he spots Joseph Goebbels, and Louis does, and he asks him if he would take a photo of Hitler with his camera, which he did. And when Goebbels returned, he said that Hitler wanted to see Louis. And Louis was led over to Hitler's box where they shook hands, and Hitler said, "Ah, you're the boy with the fast finish." He talked to him.
That's chilling.
It's so chilling.
Not even talk, but you touch that man's hand.
Shook his hand. Oh, gross.
Whoa.
Gross. I mean, you didn't know at that point, but like,
that's what makes it even more fascinating because it's before shit went down.
Yeah. Creepy. Okay. That evening, Louis went out with his friends to party in Berlin. After a couple beers, he decided it would be a good idea to steal a banner with a swastika on it from a building he had seen Hitler walk into. He has like the biggest balls. He's just so crazy.
That really is ballsy.
He managed to steal it, but was quickly caught by the guards, but he was able to charm his way out of trouble, and they let him keep the banner.
Okay.
Okay. Other people would have been shot. That's fine. So Louis soon left Berlin for home and began to set his sights on the 1940 Olympics in Tokyo, Japan. When he returned, he was enrolled in USC with a scholarship and continued training when he wasn't in class or out chasing girls because he was apparently a prolific ladies' man.
I mean,
he's cute. If you see pictures of him, he's like a
Italian
cute Italian.
Really cute.
Yeah. Real schmoozy.
They're all ladies. Ladies.
Yeah.
They're all with ladies.
They got that thing.
They're all swag.
Yeah.
Oh, before we moved away from the 1936 Olympics, I thought it was kind of cool that that's the same Olympics where Jesse Owens of the United States won a bunch of gold medals and single-handedly disproved Hitler's myth.
That's
of
right.
Aryan supremacy. Yeah.
Right, because he was African American.
Right.
Yeah.
Same Olympics.
Yeah, he's like, I wish he would have just given Hitler like the middle finger, like as he accepted his award, but he's probably too classy for that. You're right. That is cool. I didn't realize that. Fun fact.
I don't think Roscoe likes these fun facts.
He's like, I could do better. Watch me run.
Not impressed.
Okay, so in the following year, Louis set his sights on breaking the world record for the fastest mile, which up to that time, anything below 4 minutes and 1 second was considered to be impossible. In a race in 1968, even though his fellow competitors tried to take him down by stomping his feet with sharpened cleats while they were running.
Oh my God.
He had like all these people surround him while they were running, and they all just started like stomping on his feet.
How is that allowed?
I don't know. They didn't even say that anyone got punished for it.
It doesn't make any sense.
Right? They're just like stabbing the top of his feet with their cleats.
It reminds me of that picture of the lady running in the marathon and all the men are just like picking at her because they're like, no women should be running. And I'm just like,
gross.
Wow, I don't understand people who like go out of the way to do that.
How fragile is your ego?
Yeah.
That you do like, ugh.
It's icky.
So gross. Okay, so even though they were all being real dicks, Louis won the race with a time of 4 minutes, 8 seconds, missing the world record by just like a smidge.
That's crazy while he's literally getting stomped on.
Yeah, imagine like if they hadn't been dicks, he might have
done it.
Yeah. Okay, so weeks later, Japan ends up withdrawing as host of the Olympics, and it transfers to Finland. I wonder what Japan's up to before the war. By 1940, Louis was beginning to peak in his running fitness and speed, inching closer to the world record time, and he was training like mad for the Olympics. But in April of 1940, his dreams would be crushed when the world was plunged into the chaos of World War II. The partially built Olympic Stadium in Helsinki was destroyed by the invading military, and the Olympics were canceled.
That's such a bummer.
It really is. Louis fell into despair over his lost dream and started working for Lockheed Air Corporation in the summer of 1941 as the world plunged deeper into war. His plan was to finish up his last few credits the following year to graduate, but the world had other plans. After working for Lockheed, Louis began to feel a pull towards the airplanes he had been so previously like afraid of. And after the government announced the draft bill, stating that anyone who enlisted before the draft was they could pick their like military branch of service. So he decided to enlist in the Army Air Corps.
Wow, way to face your fears.
I know. But yeah. Especially, it's like you're not just training to become a pilot; you're training to become
A military pilot.
yeah, like it. So
Skills.
scary and
So scary, so fast.
ugh, the death rate, like ugh,
Ew.
it's wild. But Louis quickly realized he wasn't meant to be a pilot.
Oh, okay.
After getting airsick during training, and he just like washed out of the military.
Okay, yeah.
He then started working as a movie extra, but before he could even finish his first movie, he received his draft summons.
Oh, there you go.
Yes, and I think right now we should just take a little break.
Okay.
Hi, welcome back. I've been informed that I'm stupid.
No.
I said Helsinki instead of Helsinki earlier. Helsinki. I wrote it correctly. I said it wrong. I'm stupid. Okay, we're
You're
fine.
not stupid. People
Michael's
make
so smart.
mistakes.
I'm just
Michael's catching.
less corrections next episode.
Yeah.
Oh, I fumbled what I was saying. I gotta go back and
Do a
correct
correction.
that.
Do
Oh
a
my
correction.
god, we're all messing up so hard.
I had a lot of coffee before. My brain is like not processing as fast as my mouth.
It's fine, you guys. It's fine.
It's not. All right. Okay. So he gets his draft summons.
Right.
And he goes back. So after basic training, Louis was sent back to the Air Corps to train to become a bombardier, which is fun to say, which is basically the dude that deals with the bombs in the plane.
I figured.
Just in case. Kind of self-explanatory, but you know. Okay, so the day of Pearl Harbor, Louis was at a movie theater when the movie stopped suddenly and the lights came on. All servicemen in the audience were ordered back to their base and informed of the attack. And, now the United States was officially at war,
Yes.
which, hello, shit your pants moment. Like, you just joined the military and they're like, okay, we're in war, so.
That really is scary. I hate it.
I know. The thought that, like, Michael had to fill out a draft card makes me so
He
uncomfortable.
did?
All the boys did. Chad has one.
No.
They all had to fill one out, right? In high school?
Yeah.
A requirement?
Yeah.
I had no idea you had to require. Wait, what?
Ask him.
That's upsetting.
I know.
No, that should no.
Isn't it so uncomfortable?
I'm very uncomfortable.
Unless that's not true and just Michael's going to be drafted.
just Michael.
Like,
I don't like
"You're
that,
a
yeah.
win." I know. It's so unsettling.
And as you talk about this time too, obviously I'm like, oh my gosh, we're in like terrible times now. Things are scary. But then I'm also like, well, things were really scary and shitty at this point in time.
Yeah, imagine getting drafted. Like, you're going into the military.
For the scariest war of like all time.
Yeah, it's not even like you're just going to go train. You're going to war. Like,
with like an actual evil villain. Like
Yeah.
the most evil villain of the world.
he does get top billing. Like, it's wild.
Okay.
It's so scary to think about. I'm like, oof. I mean, kind of. No, I don't know. I was like, kind of nice to be a lady, but is it ever?
Still,
I don't know.
Still no.
No, it's just all bad. Okay, we'll just agree that it's all bad.
I will admit, I'm glad we don't get drafted.
I'm so happy I didn't fill out a draft card.
Oh yeah, that's eerie. I did not know that. If that's
Every time I
real thing.
remember that, I'm like, that is so disturbing to me. Okay.
Yeah, I had no idea that was a requirement. Ew. Okay.
In August of 1942, Louis graduated from Midland and was commissioned a second lieutenant. He would now head into the final round of training before heading off to war. His beloved brother Pete was also enlisted and was now a Navy chief petty officer. Louis' next stop was Ephrata. It's in Washington. Sorry, Washington. That's a weird name. So he was sent there. It's a miserable military base in the middle of a dry lake bed. The dusty soil was so thick that it would gather like in 1.5 drifts against anything in its path. So he just lived, breathed, and ate dirt while stationed there.
Oh man.
Sounds awful. After arriving at the base, Louis would meet his pilot named Russell Allen Phillips, who was 26 years old. He was a kind, quiet, even-keeled man with a fiancée back home named Cece. He and Louis would become best friends. Louis called him Phil, and Louis was nicknamed the Zamp because Zamperini.
Oh, that's fun.
I know, the Zamp. That's a
The
cool
Zamp.
cool
That's
nickname.
a very cool one.
Also on Louis' flight team was an engineer and gunner named Stanley Pillsbury, 22 years old, and Clarence Douglas, also an engineer and gunner. Robert Mitchell would be the nose gunner and navigator. Frank Glassman would be the radio operator and belly gunner. Ray Lambert manned the tail gun. There's so many guns.
I mean,
And
war.
I know. Harry Brooks was the radio man, and waist gunner co-pilot was George Mosnett Jr. He wouldn't stay in that crew, but he did start with them. I also didn't realize there was that many dudes on a plane. For some reason, I was like, oh, there's like 2 of them. But no, there's like 9 of them.
Bombers are big.
That's true. I
Sure.
imagine those little tiny like fighter planes.
Sure, me
but
too.
Yeah, these are pretty big planes. There's like 9 dudes, and they all have a job. Okay, so next they needed a plane. Louis really wanted a B-17. It was the plane everyone wanted.
Hold on, I almost thought
What?
I don't know why I so.
Oh, like he wanted to be.
He really wanted to be 17 years old. Okay, like he didn't want to do war.
Taking back to 17.
Sorry, this just sounded.
You're right.
That way.
He wanted a B-17.
B-17, which is a plane, right?
Yes.
Okay.
I could just see this being a World War II era body swap movie where old veteran swaps bodies with a young 17-year-old and
Right.
then lies about his age to go to war. I don't know.
Start the script. Like,
It's a really weird Freaky Friday.
that is.
So everyone wanted this B-17. It's like the sexy plane that everyone wants, but they get stuck with a B-24, which was comparable on paper to the B-17, but much less sexy in person. It was boxy and blunt to look at, and it had nicknames like the Flying Brick, the Flying Boxcar, the Flying Coffin,
Aw.
and the Constipated Lumberer.
Oh my god.
Fun.
Like,
Now
Great.
that is clever.
the Constipated Lumberer. So good.
Wow. Oh, that poor plane.
I know. She's like, I'm trying. I'm doing my best. The plane would end up with the name Superman painted on the nose with an image of Superman with a gun and a bomb in each hand, which I am jealous of the dude that gets the job to paint all the planes. Like, how fun.
That is fun.
You get to name them and do like body paintings on them. I love it. They would do like pinup girls and stuff on them.
Nice.
It was fun. Okay, so the benefit to that plane is that it could fly all day with auxiliary fuel tanks, but the cockpit was extremely cramped and the plane was extraordinarily heavy, making it difficult to fly. It was also plagued with multiple mechanical issues, including the tail flying off mid-flight
Oh no.
and the delicate wings being easily damaged.
No.
And some men fairly viewed it as a death trap, which is also why it was called the Flying Coffin.
Oh yeah, that's terrifying.
Once their plane arrived, the men practically lived in it for the next several months as they trained in simulated combat missions and dive bombing runs. Training could be dangerous, though, and many airmen met their deaths before ever leaving the U.S. Anywhere from 9 to nearly 20 men could lose their lives in training accidents per day during the war.
Per day.
The number is astounding. It's like in the thousands.
Just in training.
Just training accidents.
That's
People were
sad.
dropping left and right. It's crazy. In October of 1942, the men were told their training was being cut short and they were being sent to Hamilton Field, California, and from there they were going overseas. They were going to be sent to Oahu, Hawaii, which pretty sweet place to be sent to. I mean, this is after Pearl Harbor, so not great, but like still if you get to be stationed in Hawaii, like
Yeah.
cool. There, the co-pilot would be switched out for a different man named Charlton Cuppernell. Okay, so for the next couple months, the men continued to train in beautiful Hawaii, running patrols over the ocean to watch out for the enemy and pranking each other in their spare time.
Of course.
Because you forget how young these guys are. They're
Yeah,
like,
they have to have like some real human interaction in between.
yeah, they're basically teenagers. Like they would do ridiculous shit to each other all the time, and you're like, yeah, I mean, you gotta relieve stress, I guess. They're in a crazy situation. In December, they were told to pack their bags for their first real mission. They were ordered to Midway, stocked with bombs. Upon arrival, they were told that they would be part of a mission to burn down the Japanese base on Wake Atoll. The planes were ordered to dive bomb the base in a mission that would take 16 hours and push the plane fuel stores to their very limits. They left on December 23rd, so like right before Christmas. The squadron arrived at midnight and relentlessly bombed the base as the Japanese soldiers slept. Yikes. Leaving the island on fire, the squadron flew back to Midway and Louis's plane sputtered onto the runway. So their mission was a success. On a different bombing mission, the crew wouldn't be so lucky. They were met with fierce combat from the Japanese, and the bomber plane was badly damaged in the ensuing firefight. The mission would be its last. Almost the entire crew would be injured, as well as one of the crewmen, Harry Brooks, sustaining so much damage that he ended up passing away after the plane somehow amazingly made it back to the base. And he was only 22. And he was, it's like the saddest story. He was going to get married in like 9 days. And
9 days?
You know. There's just so many sad stories.
Yeah, I have a hard time watching like World War II movies because I have,
sad.
And it's just the worst. And I'm like, I don't want to see that.
Weirdly, I'm like, I can do documentaries all day long about World War II, but movies are, I don't know, it's just more emotional maybe.
Yeah, because like the storyline, I guess they like make you
extra sad.
Realize how human these people are. Yeah.
Yeah.
You going to cover the damage to the plane?
I didn't list. Wait, did I? I didn't list it, but you can if you would like. It really got shredded.
Straight from Wiki. Ground crewmen counted 594 bullet and shell fragment holes in the fuselage and tail structure of the big 4-engine bomber after it had skidded to a stop with a flat tire.
Oh my God.
Yeah, so like it was a crazy story, but this story was already so long that I couldn't put it in. But here I go. From memory, it was like so damaged that Louis was like trying to jerry rig like landing gear just to get this thing to land, and it went in so hot that it almost like it landed, but it slid so far that it almost went over like the cliff of the edge of the runway.
Whoa.
And like barely stopped in time. And it was just like amazing that
what a miracle
they even made it back. Like this plane was a mess, and everyone was like full of holes and bleeding because they all got shot.
They were all yeah. That's wild.
It was crazy that they lived at all.
There's a picture of Zamperini with the plane that has a big hole in it that it looks like he could fit his head through.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, I don't like it. Okay, post that photo.
It's pretty wild. I haven't actually seen those photos. I read about the photos, but I haven't looked at them, so that'll be fun.
We're going to have to.
Yeah. Let's see, where are we?
Sorry, I keep interrupting this.
No, I love
Michael's into it.
I love your interruptions. Continue to do so.
I didn't even go crazy with the caffeine today.
I love when you're into the stories because then it makes me more like enthusiastic to tell it, you know?
Well, now I hate it.
It's sick. Okay, so that evening, the Japanese conducted a bombing raid on the military base that Louis was stationed at. So they kicked the hornet's nest, and now they're getting attacked. Louis narrowly escaped with his life that night. He was then sent back to Hawaii with what remained of his crew. 6 of them would have to be replaced, and they also now needed a new plane because theirs was Swiss cheese at this point. On May 27th, Louis was approached by a general and told that he and his crew would need to launch a search mission for a plane that had left recently but had not made it to its destination or been heard from since leaving, and it had been lost somewhere over the ocean. Which apparently back in that time it happened a lot. Like planes went missing constantly, and then the planes looking for those planes also went missing. So it was just kind of a shit show.
Yeah.
Louis was hesitant because they would be flying with new crew members, and the only plane available was a bomber called the Green Hornet, which is kind of funny, like Green Hornet and Superman both in this story.
Oh, nice.
Louis had already taken the Green Hornet on a flight test and found that the plane was really unreliable with mechanical issues, but they were told they had to do it anyway. So his protests were brushed aside, and they were ordered into the air. The men, along with another plane and crew, were ordered to search all day and then land in Palmyra to continue the search the next day if the plane was not found. Before leaving, the crew inspected the Green Hornet to make sure it was stocked with emergency equipment and provisions. Just before takeoff, a soldier ran up to them and asked to hitch a ride to Palmyra. So now there's going to be 11 men on this plane, and the search begins. The 2 search planes took off and began looking. The other plane was called the Daisy May, and it became quickly apparent that the Green Hornet could not keep up with the Daisy May. So after a couple of hours, Phil, the pilot of the Green Hornet, radioed to the Daisy May to continue, like they were like, hey, just continue the search without us. you don't have to wait for us. Like, you can keep going. We're slowing you down. So they pretty quickly lost sight of each other. Around 2 p.m., the Green Hornet reached the search area, and the plane dropped to 800 feet below the clouds for a better view. And they searched the waters, which was also really hard to do because you've got the sun like on hitting the water. It's like blinding you.
Sure, yeah.
It's amazing if you see anything at all.
Yeah.
Around this time, the co-pilot in the Green Hornet, Cuppernell, asked Phil if he could switch him seats to get some practice in as the first pilot. Phil agreed and switched him seats. Soon after, though, it was noted that one of the 4 engines was burning more fuel than the others. Phil and Cuppernell took action to correct this, but because they were in different seats, they were slower than normal to right the plane. They asked an engineer to assist, but the engineer made a crucial error. They had already been losing power from one engine, and now the engineer killed power to the wrong engine, effectively killing both engines on one side of the plane, taking it into a spin. They did their best to recover, but it was no use. The plane was going down, and it was going down quickly.
In a spirally?
Yes. Over the ocean.
Just trust me, I remember that.
I know. Okay. Noted. So the crew all raced to their crash stations and grabbed the survival gear while putting on their life vests.
Oh my God. I can't, like, there's too little time.
I know. Just knowing, like, you're going into the water. Okay. The plane was going down so quickly, there was no time to send a distress signal. Phil tried desperately to level the plane, but it was no use. They were about to crash hard and fast into the ocean. The terrified men stared numbly out as they rotated faster and faster towards the water, knowing there was a slim chance of survival.
I hate it. Okay.
Phil deployed the life raft at the last second so that it would at least be close by if any of the men made it out alive.
Right.
And then the plane hit the water, with its left wing and nose entering first, and then ripping the plane apart.
That's such impact. That's literally the same as like crashing into the ground.
Yeah, you might as well hit concrete. Like, it's going to rip apart the plane the same.
Oh, man.
Louis recalled the jarring impact, his body flying, and the cold slap of the water as the plane tore apart. When he came to from the shock, he felt the plane go under the water and then pop back up from the air trapped inside, but then quickly began to sink.
Wow. Traumatizing to see that.
Louis was sitting on top of a life raft, but he was still trapped in the fuselage, entangled in wires, and pinned underneath one of the stationary guns. Phil was recovering from having his head slammed against something on impact and was trying to escape the co-pilot seat. He was able to break free as the plane sank deeper and deeper, and he kicked his way to the surface with his head gushing blood. Below, Louis was still struggling to disentangle himself from all the wiring because, like, when the plane blew apart, basically all the wires went everywhere, and now he's just in a web of wires.
And you don't even that. I would never think about that.
Yeah, it's just
you're entangled in wires, so like good luck even trying to get out, even though you survived the impact.
Right?
Ew,
it's so unfair. So he's tangled in all these wires, and the plane is just, he's sinking deeper and deeper, and it's just, ugh.
I hate it so much. Abby, you're really
it's hard to breathe through this.
It is. I'm having a hard time breathing.
His ears popped, and the water pressure was steadily increasing as darkness descended. So now you're also in the dark.
Too many things are happening in this moment. I am so overwhelmed.
He saw the body of a crewman drift past so you're also just seeing your crew like just drifting around that didn't make it as you're struggling. He then felt an intense pain in his head, and he passed out with a feeling of hopelessness, assuming this was the end.
Yeah, I would hope that I would just pass out and then not know the rest of it.
But he inexplicably came to and realized all the wiring that had been holding him down had magically vanished. Like,
how?
Some kind of miracle. He's got a
this
guardian
guy
angel.
is not meant to die,
right? Like, how does that just immediately that
doesn't
magically
make any sense.
fix itself? It doesn't.
It doesn't make any sense.
So, let's see. As Oh, so the life raft that had been underneath him also disappeared. I don't know what happened when he was under. Neither does he.
Okay.
But
Maybe they got like suctioned down with the sinking.
Maybe. Either way, he's still sinking in this fuselage.
Okay.
And he had no air left in his lungs. He began to gulp down seawater.
That's literally, I don't want to feel that. I don't want to drown. I don't like it.
No. It was pitch black as he felt around the fuselage, trying to gain his bearings. He wore an uninflated life raft, but it was still, I can never say this word, buoyant, and pulled him towards the ceiling of the plane. He finally felt around long enough to find a window, and he swam out of it, leaving the sinking plane behind. Wow. He pulled the cord of his life vest and shot to the surface as the vest inflated.
So, wow.
Yeah.
Wait, so wow. Okay, in my brain, I don't know how, because you're telling me the story, but I wasn't picturing it in the ocean water because I'm trying to dissociate. So he's already in the ocean.
He's sinking to the bottom of the ocean. Somehow
it's filled with water.
Yeah.
The window breaks or whatever, and he swims out, and then the vest pops him up to the surface. Okay.
That's where we're at.
I just had to tell my brain to, no, actually listen to what's happening.
This isn't all happening in the air. It's deep underwater.
It's not that we're still on the surface of the ocean.
No,
you're sinking
20 times worse.
Okay.
Okay, so he shoots to the surface.
What a feeling to be, shot up with that.
Right before you thought you were going to die. Ugh. Let's see. So yes, he breaks the surface. He immediately vomits up all the seawater and oil that he had swallowed.
Wow.
He looked around to see plane wreckage. This is also in the middle of the day. I don't know why I always picture it at night. It's in the middle of the day.
So bright. It's bright outside.
Yeah, daylight. So he looks around. He sees plane wreckage and gas and oil floating on the surface. He couldn't believe he was alive, and then heard Phil call out to him.
Wow.
Phil was floating on the surface with the tail gunner, Mac. Neither had life vests on and clung to a piece of wreckage. Phil's head was steadily gushing blood down his face and into the water.
Oh my gosh, okay.
As Louis took all of this in, he saw the inflatable lifeboat floating quickly away, and instead of swimming for his friends, he went after the boat. He miraculously was able to catch the raft and then saw a second inflatable raft. He rowed to it and also caught the second one.
Wow.
Tying them together before rowing back to retrieve his friends. He saved their lives.
Oh, yeah. I mean, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
How lucky to have the two rafts.
Right. You got two. And they're not very big. So one raft was only about 2 feet wide by 6 feet long. So it was really cramped with all three inside. Louis had sustained a few cuts. He had a broken finger, but amazingly, that was kind of it. He was very intact.
Wow.
He quickly took the men's shirts and tended to the 2 gashes on Phil's forehead before pulling him into the other raft. So now it's Louis and Mac in one raft and Phil in the other, but they're tied together. Phil, who was technically in charge, head wound, he hands command over to Louis at this point.
Okay.
Mac had also come up unscathed, but he sat in a dazed silence until he suddenly began wailing and screaming that they were all going to die.
Yeah, I would be that too.
That would be you.
You're in shock, and then you see where you're at, floating in the middle of the ocean. Well, there's no technology. People don't know how to get to you or rescue you or where you are, right?
Yeah, immediate panic.
You will. Okay, yeah. I'm struggling.
Shauna's the hysterical one.
Because there's nothing you can do, and it's just time. And I hate being I would almost in that situation wish I passed out and died, because now you're just suffering this long. What's gonna happen? What are you gonna do?
I'm telling you, nothing good is gonna happen. So
it's just gonna get worse.
Your panic is valid. Yeah. So he's screaming, hysterical, and then in the movies, Louis slaps him in the face until he stops screaming.
I mean, sure, yeah. Get it out and then stop.
Yeah. So Mac had been the one holding the box of provisions when the plane went down, but I mean, he couldn't keep a hold of it and it was lost in the crash.
Sure.
They started to search the life raft pockets for any supplies and found several chocolate bars. Not good chocolate bars, by the way. This is wartime chocolate bars that is meant to be melt proof. It tastes terrible,
right?
But it's high in calories, so it's not you want to snack on this.
Okay, gotcha.
Okay, so they find the chocolate, tins of water, a brass mirror, a flare gun, sea dye, a set of fish hooks and fishing line, two
Okay.
air pumps, a patch kit, and a set of pliers slash screwdriver.
All right. I mean, that's something.
Better than nothing. I mean, still not a lot, though. In
No.
the coming years, the emergency provisions would vastly improve. They would add a radio transmitter, a mast, a sail, and a tarp for shade. But these guys had none of that.
Yeah,
so they're
the
just...
sun. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
the burning. You're burning alive.
Oh, they're gonna burn. They're gonna burn. Oh my god. Okay, so they also had no navigation tools. The man who had them had gone down with the plane. Louis quickly set the ration rules at 1 square of chocolate in the morning and 1 in the evening. Each man was allowed... I told Michael about this part, so he's shaking his head. Each man was allowed a few sips of water a day, and at that rate, their supplies could last like a few days. Soon after entering the rafts, Louis heard the gurgling sound of a man trying to speak from the water. He looked around frantically, but whoever had made that sound slipped beneath the surface once more and drowned. So
I'm confused.
Like someone else made it out of the plane, possibly, like a little further away from the raft, surfaced, but they couldn't see him, and then the guy went back under the water. So
Oh, that's icky.
yeah, it just like haunted Louis for the rest of the time that they were
hearing that.
Yeah.
Oh, that's okay.
Super disturbing. Soon, though, they had another pressing horror to contend with. It didn't take long for the men to start seeing dark, large shapes moving smoothly below the water, and then the shapes rose to the surface, their sharp triangle fins cutting through the water to circle the boats. The sharks had found them. Louis figured they were mako sharks or something similar.
Who cares what kind of shark it is?
It has teeth. The smallest of them being 6 feet long.
Oh, just a small 6 feet.
Just a casual man length. Some were double that. So basically like double the length of the raft.
the teeth. Okay.
As the sun went down, the temperature dropped greatly and the men began to shiver.
Yeah, you're getting two polar opposite things. You're burning and you're freezing.
Yeah. They bailed a few inches of water into the rafts, which after warming to their body temps actually kind of kept their lower halves warm, but their top halves were freezing.
Oh, so like the water was warm, so they brought in some water to keep them warm?
Yeah, well, the
Interesting.
water like eventually would warm to their body temperature.
Oh, I see. That makes
Yeah.
sense. Oh, what thinking?
Smart, right? Kind of smart.
It's even faster if you just pee in it.
Thank
Sure.
you, Mike. Thank you, Mike. Pro tip. Until you, oh, well, never mind. Okay, so once the sun set, they were plunged into pitch darkness and silence. Which
Do you know how dark? That's the most dark.
Yeah, there's no lights around.
Literally zero light,
Pitch dark.
but the stars and the moon. I mean, gorge. But
Let's take a moment to take this in.
yeah, that's also eerie and freaky.
Yeah.
And vast.
So it's just
the
endless.
vastness.
The middle of the ocean really freaks me out. When there's just nothing but water to see. It's just wild. Okay, so the men were exhausted, but the idea of missing a search party kept them awake, as did the shuddering vibrations of the sharks rubbing their backs along the bottoms of the rafts.
I hate it. They're just tormenting
know.
them. Like,
They're
we're
just like-
still here. We're touching you.
Tenderizing their dinner.
Oh, that's evil. The evil sharks.
On Palmyra, the Daisy May had landed with no incident, although they had never found the original missing plane.
Yeah, there's a whole nother missing
It's
plane.
just that those poor men, I don't think were ever found. That evening, the Green Hornet was reported missing, and a search operation would be launched the next morning. But the search area was so vast and full of ocean currents, it could pull them into like a number of different directions.
Sure.
The odds of finding them were small, but they had to try. The next morning, Louis woke up to the sight of sharks and open ocean. He decided to, okay, here we go. He decided to divvy up everyone's meager breakfast chocolate, but when he searched the pockets, the chocolate was all gone.
Come on, dude.
Mac had devoured it all in a blind panic while they all slept.
Mac, no.
Mac.
Shame.
Louis did his best to keep calm and told Mac he was disappointed in him.
That's putting it lightly. I would have punched him in the face.
I'm not mad. I am disappointed.
So like you ate all of our food and now we're for sure gonna die.
On day 1, you ate all of our food.
Wow. Okay. So we're on day 1.
You had belly in your food still from the island we left from. Like
down. Yeah, that really ruins chances.
Right from the start. So yeah, Louis like, I'm going to be the big person. I'm going to try not to be too hard on him. Like he's going through a lot.
It's like we're kind of in a bad situation.
He's bigger than I am. Like, yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Whatever you got to do.
Yeah. So later on in the day, the men were already starting to burn and were terribly hungry. Then they heard the distant sound of plane engines and saw a B-25 high up in the air. Louis quickly fired a flare gun and dumped the water dye into the sea, turning it a bright green color. But the bomber did not see them and continued on.
Wow.
From the flight path the B-25 was on, Louis was able to conclude that the boat was drifting west, further away from friendly waters. The search crews looked all day but found nothing and resolved to search again the next day. They would continue, however, to be unsuccessful. The men on the raft took a small sip of water in the afternoon and watched/felt the sharks return as the sun sank. Another day passed uneventfully with the men speaking little and dreaming of food. On May 30th, they heard the sounds of a low-flying B-24. It was the Daisy May. They were out searching for them. Louis fired several flares. One came close to hitting the plane, but the cloud coverage was so thick that the plane never saw the raft and quickly disappeared.
I hate this. So stupid. I'm angry.
I know, and they describe like what it's like trying to look on the ocean surface from that
I bet
high
it's
up.
difficult.
It's so hard, and this raft is so tiny in comparison. Like
right, but it just like sucks. They're doing all the right things in the sense of like, okay, there's a plane. Time to use the flare.
Yeah.
Time to use the dye. Like this is what you do, and it's not.
It doesn't work. Ugh. On the 4th day of being out on the open ocean, the men's water ran out, and they were intensely hungry and thirsty. On the 5th day, Max snapped again, and after having said almost nothing the entire time, started ranting and raving about how they were all going to die.
Is he the one with the head injury too?
No. He actually made it out pretty unscathed. He didn't really have a lot of injuries.
Okay.
Phil's the one with the head injury.
Phil's the one with the head injury. Okay, and then Mac is not handling this well.
Mac had a snack attack.
Snack attack, yeah.
Snack attack. Mac ate all their food.
Yeah. Rough time. Okay.
Yeah. So Louis again slaps him to get him to
snap out of it.
After a week of searching, the men of the Green Hornet were declared missing, and their families were to be informed. They would receive the distressing telegrams on June 4th. Back on the raft, the sun was taking its toll on the men. They were all severely sunburned, and their lips had become grotesquely swollen, and their top lip obstructing their nostrils and their lower lip resting against their chins.
Oh my gosh.
Like, think extreme lip filler.
Yeah.
Look, I can't even imagine what that would look like.
Oh, I thought you were going to go like in a chapped situation, but that is massively,
too,
well, sure, but like the massively swollen.
I wouldn't think of the swelling.
Ouch.
But, yeah. Their skin dried and cracked, burning every time the seawater splashed them.
Oh, that's right.
The intense glare of the sun on the water burned their eyes and gave them severe headaches. Yeah. They all had open sores on their lower extremities from the contact with salt water. Yeah, you get
just
salt
being
sores.
In constant contact makes sores.
Yeah. That are just aggravated by further salt.
Which is literally all around you in the air you breathe and where you're stranded.
Bad. None of it's good.
So they really were too crammed in the one raft? Because I want to just be like, come on, cram together, spoon if you have to, and then take the other raft and cover yourselves, if that helps any.
Oh, that's smart. Yeah, they didn't do that. I guess it was too cramped. Because it's 2 feet wide by 6 feet long.
Yeah, I get it. But I mean, survival situation, I would have been like...
Yeah.
I would have tried it. And if not, then you can go back in the raft.
Yeah.
I mean, who am I judging? I'm judging these men. You didn't survive, right? I'm terrible.
You guys are stupid. I would have done it so different.
I'm sorry. The worst. Continue. Okay.
Okay, so the men were all so hot that they just wanted to jump into the cool ocean, but the ever-present circling sharks made this impossible.
Yeah.
One 8-foot shark in particular never left the raft, and the men would strike at it with an oar if it got too close.
Oh my God.
On the third day without water, the men rejoiced when they saw dark clouds on the horizon. Soon, the sky opened up with a torrential downpour of rain, and the men savored the cool water washing their burned skin.
Oh, that would probably feel amazing.
And opened up their mouths and drank.
Yes.
The rainstorm was able to replenish the empty water tins, and the men discovered that they could use the 2 canvas bags holding their water pumps as hats. So that's a win.
That's a win. They did something. Got hats. Okay.
But they're still starving and beyond frustrated that they had fishing equipment, but no bait to catch anything.
Yeah, that sucks.
They dreamed endlessly of food. Around day 9 or 10, Louis would have a stroke of luck. During the day, he had the canvas bag over his face, and he lay so still that a passing albatross thought he was just drifting debris and decided to land on him for a rest.
Wait, what is that?
It's a huge seabird.
Bird?
Yeah.
A bird just lands on
Yeah,
you.
thinking you're like a driftwood.
Oh,
Louis.
what an experience.
Louis, ever so slowly, inched his hand toward the bird until he snatched its feet and broke its neck.
Yeah, I mean, poor bird, but they needed that bird.
They really needed that bird. This is gross. He then used the pliers from their supplies to clean and process it. Mm-hmm. Starving as they were, though, the meat smelled so bad that the men couldn't get it down.
Really?
Yeah, and I think they're like kind of probably like a lot like seagulls, where they're just kind of like trash birds. They probably don't taste great.
Taste good. Rubbery or something.
Yeah, so they decided instead to use it as fishing bait.
Okay, yeah, don't waste it.
Yeah, don't waste it. The first 3 tries were thwarted by the sharks biting the hook and snapping the line.
Stupid sharks.
I know, dicks. But the 4th try produced a 10-inch long pilot fish. The men quickly devoured it raw, and their spirits were slightly lifted.
Okay, yeah, I mean, yeah, I would probably settle more for eating a raw fish.
Sush. It's just sushi.
Yeah.
So the next several days passed, though, with no further fishing success, although it did rain again and their water tins were replenished. The men, mostly Louis and Phil, filled their time with endless talking. They quizzed each other about their lives, starting from their earliest memories and telling stories in as much detail as they could muster.
Oh my God.
They sang Christmas songs, and Louis described his mother's cooking, including every single step and ingredient.
Wow.
They also prayed a lot.
I mean, you have so much time.
Yeah, nothing but. He knew that the first thing to go in these situations was your sanity.
Yeah.
And the men clung to theirs with each passing day without rescue. It had now been 2 weeks on the open ocean, and the men's conditions were worsening. They were all bearded and skinny, covered in saltwater sores and other injuries from exposure. The rafts were beginning to deteriorate as well, and everything smelled bad.
Oh my gosh. Well, yeah.
On the 14th day, Louis caught another albatross, and this time the men were so hungry they devoured it and used the leftovers as fish bait, which caught them another fish.
I mean, okay.
Yeah, they're surviving. Over the next several days, the men would catch more birds and an occasional fish. In one instance, Louis was so hungry he began to... Okay, this is gross. I'm warning you right now. He began to rip into the bird with his teeth, but was quickly horrified after he began to feel a crawling sensation over his face and realized the bird had been covered in lice, which was now making a home in his beard and hair. That's so horrifying. Just like, it's...
I'm sorry, I'm legit speechless because that's the last thing they freaking need.
Lice.
Oh my, that's so, you're already feeling so gross.
Lice.
Lice from a bird.
That you ripped into raw with your teeth.
I mean, survival, no judgment there.
No, but come on.
Oh.
Okay, so this happens.
Beard is on your face.
It's your face.
Okay.
It's your face.
Okay.
He was so freaked out that he launched the top half of his body into the ocean to get rid of them and was almost taken by a shark in the process, but he was so desperate to get the lice off that he didn't care. Which, fair.
Wow, yeah. And also itchy, right?
Yeah. Ooh, it's making me itch just thinking
Already
about it.
on your
My
like
hair.
burning sore skin.
Okay, so after floating for several more days, it had now been 6 days without water, and Mac was fading quickly.
Yeah, you gotta have water.
The men knew they were probably going to die, and they began to pray. Soon after, though, the rain came again, and the men were saved. And this happened again and again.
I would almost be pissed. Like, stop raining because you're prolonging
Let me
death.
die. Yeah, so they just would be like right on the verge of death. It would rain again. Right on the verge of death, they'd catch a fish. So it was just like endless.
And you're like so desperate probably that you like can't help yourself but drink it.
Yeah, of course. But that's just prolonging. Yeah.
Yeah, it sucks.
On day 27,
Get out of here.
a plane was spotted. Even though it was far away from the men, they decided to drop the water dye and fire, a few flares.
They
just
had
in
more.
case.
So
Yeah.
okay, so they're still doing what they're supposed to doing.
Yes.
Yeah. Planes. Okay.
The bomber faded into the distance, though, and the men thought all was lost until the bomber turned around and headed towards their location.
Chills.
The men began to cheer and cry with joy and relief, which quickly turned
Stop.
to screams of horror.
I hate you so much. Get out of here. I don't want you to finish. I don't want you to stop there, then get rescued at the end.
This is a two-parter, remember.
I know. I'm so mad.
It doesn't end. It
I'm
doesn't
so
stop.
mad at you.
I'm so sorry.
Okay.
The bomber began firing on them.
No.
It was the Japanese.
I can't be on this podcast. I'm not made for it.
I would formally like to resign from this episode.
I'm so sorry for this microphone because I cannot control
Le gasp.
the gas. That is so upsetting.
It's just so unfortunate. It's the Japanese. So all of the men jumped overboard into the shark-infested waters and hid beneath the rafts as the plane peppered the boats and ocean with bullets.
And now you're ruining the rafts.
Yep. As soon as the plane passed, the exhausted men used their last remaining strength. They're also so weak with starvation. Like,
They're so skinny and weak.
yeah. So they use all of their strength to flop back into the boats before the sharks could descend.
Oh my God.
But their ordeal wasn't over. They watched as the plane came back for another pass. Louis jumped back into the water, but the other two men had no remaining strength and could do nothing but curl into a tight ball and hope they wouldn't be shot. Louis swam back beneath the raft and watched as holes were punched through it from bullets fired by the plane's gunners.
Oh my God.
He did his best to remain deep enough to make the bullets harmless, but also struggled to stay with the raft against the currents.
Oh, the things you're thinking about to survive in milliseconds and you're in shark-infested waters. Oh my gosh.
It's just so much. It just get okay. As he concentrated on these tasks, he was jolted back to reality as he saw a gaping maw full of sharp teeth swimming right for him. Michael's just shaking his head.
He's over it too.
Enough.
We're over it.
I want to wake up from this nightmare.
Too much. It's
Poor
too
man.
much. How is this story not more well known? It's just wild.
You right?
So Louis waited until the shark was inches away and then bared his teeth and punched the shark in the nose.
The most badass human I've ever heard of, ever.
Yes. The shark jerked away and came back for another round, but was once again punched in the snout, which I guess is what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, sure. Again, it's doing what you gotta.
But you have to wait for it to be that close, like to do.
That's also upsetting because you have to get, you're like, okay, come at me, bro.
You want another one? So the plane had passed again, and Louis jumped back aboard to see that his friends were still alive
Wow.
and unhit. But,
what? Not even. Wow. Okay.
But the plane was coming back again.
Okay. So they're really not giving. Okay.
They're like, well, they're still alive. Gotta go again.
They can tell they're still alive?
I don't know. Maybe they're just fucking around. I don't know. Louis jumped back off, and the other two men played dead as the firing started up again. This time, Louis was fighting off two sharks, flailing his arms and legs at the sharks in an attempt to avoid their snapping jaws. Once the plane passed, he would jump back into the boat. This happened
Exhausting.
4 more times.
I hit this. I can't comprehend. And I'm mad. And I'm exhausted for him. And I'm sad.
There's so many feelings.
There's too many things. This is like upping the Indianapolis episode. You're like,
I think it's on par. Like, it's,
yeah, I mean, it's very similar, but man, yeah, I'm like the highest level of stress.
I don't think people are made like this anymore.
No,
we would die so fast.
Right?
Like, there's just no way. Yeah, so okay. Happens 4 more times. And miraculously,
The exhaustion.
Louis was never bitten, and Mac and Phil didn't have a single bullet wound, even though the whole raft is now littered with bullet holes all around them.
Oh my gosh.
On the 5th turn, the plane, they just don't stop. So the 5th turn, the plane dropped a depth charger near the raft, which is like an underwater bomb, basically.
Ooh.
But as luck would have it, it didn't detonate.
What guardian angels do these men have?
It's insane. Like, the amount of times that they scrape by is just, it's wild.
Like, some divine thing is just like, nope,
Right?
nope.
That bomb's not going to work.
You're not going to.
That shark's not going to eat you somehow.
Over and over and over.
So I guess after that, the plane's like, they're probably dead, and it leaves.
I mean, I would think so too. My God.
Once the plane had gone for good, the men inspected the torn apart rafts. One had been torn in 2, so all 3 men, there you go, had to cram into one.
Okay, now I understand. Well, you can't put the other one on top of you. So.
Well, here we go.
Oh,
but this raft,
Oh.
I'll get to that. But so now the one that they're in, they're all 3 in one raft, but it's so full of holes
Still, yes.
that it's starting to sink lower and lower into the water.
Especially with the extra weight.
Yes. Suddenly, a shark leapt over the side of the raft.
Oh my God.
And tried to snatch a man, but was beaten away with oars. You've just survived a plane trying to shoot you.
And sharks are supposed to stay in the water.
That's the rule.
And these motherfuckers,
They're like,
jump out of it.
They're like, oh, there's dudes in there? Okay, well, this shouldn't be so hard. Let's just get them.
Jump through. Okay.
So they beat it back with oars, but this was followed by 2 more sharks with the same idea. The men furiously fought off the sharks with the oars, but every time a shark would flop onto the raft, more and more air would escape from the bullet holes until the raft became partially submerged. Mm-hmm. The men knew they needed to get more air into the boat with they lost one of the air pumps in the other boat. So they have 1 air pump.
Okay.
And they have the patch kit. So they devise a quick plan.
There's too many.
Like, we can fix this.
There's not enough patches.
One man would furiously pump air into the raft. One man would would fight the sharks with an oar.
Get out of here.
The other man would patch up the holes with the patch kit.
Everyone has a freaking job.
Solid plan.
Oh my God.
This plan worked, but the patching took a while and many times had to be redone because a whitecap would come, wash away the glue before it dried. They'd have to redo the patch. The men worked all through the day and night, their arms so exhausted from pumping that they literally lost feeling.
Yeah, like you can't stop.
No,
there's no time to sleep.
Pump
Yeah.
all day.
Oh my God.
While starving, by the way.
The exhaustion.
I'm exhausted reading this. I'm like, when is the next break? I need one.
Yeah. 0 seconds to take a solid breath.
Okay. Eventually, though, most of the holes were patched and the sharks stopped trying to jump into the raft. Oh my God. Now they're just back at ground level shitstorm.
-3.
Yeah. Louis also realized they could take the other deflated raft and use it as a tarp to protect them from the sun.
Okay, so I'm kind of smart, and
are.
you read me. Yeah, okay.
I was like, oh, you are so smart. That is going to happen.
Okay.
So now they have a little bit of cover.
Okay.
It's a big win in this situation.
Oh my gosh, were there? Yes.
After that many losses. They had also come to realize that the Japanese bomber must have been out on patrol, which meant that they couldn't be too far away from land. But by their calculations, it could still be weeks until they reached land. Louis guessed that they would have made it by 47 days. Phil guessed 46 days before they reached land. Mac was like, I'm not guessing. We're all going to die.
Right.
In the coming days, the men would continue to starve, and one day Louis was watching the sharks circle and decided to pet a couple of them just to see what their skin would feel like. It had a rough texture, and Louis couldn't help but admire how beautiful the animals were.
Oh,
Well, I guess the sharks didn't appreciate that because they both disappeared for a second and then charged.
fucking sharks, dude.
They're like, don't touch me. Then charged to the surface from the deep at incredible speed. They
Scary.
both tried to bite off Louis's upper half, but were beaten back by Mac.
Oh, he got soft and he was like, yeah, well, these are beautiful God's creatures.
Look
and
at nature.
We need them.
They're like, fuck you, your lunch.
Your lunch. Oh my God.
So Louis took this attack personally.
Yeah.
He was like, fucking rude.
If I can switch my mindset, you can switch your mindset, shark.
That's literally what happened. So he was like, that's rude. And he's like, I'm going to try and eat you now.
Yeah.
So Phil took their last piece of bait to tempt a smaller shark. And once it was close, Louis snatched it out of the water by its tail, dragged it into the boat, where they quickly killed it by stabbing it through the eye.
Bad ass, dude. And now they're like, see what I did to you, baby shark. Wow, they're really feuding with the sharks.
Come at me.
Oh my God.
So the men had heard that the only part of a shark that you could eat was its liver.
Oh,
So
really? Education.
I wouldn't know that. So they all ate the liver, and they were full for the very first time since crashing.
Oh, do they have big livers?
I guess.
Oh, wow.
They caught one more shark after that, but the sharks seemed to catch on, and now only huge sharks as big as 12 feet long circled the rafts.
Wow. Yeah, no, they're smart.
Yeah.
Yep. They know what's up.
Baby shark.
Shark.
It just popped into my head. Stupid.
Well, we're moms now, so.
I know, it's all that's in my head. Okay, around the 30th evening on the ocean.
Yes, a whole month.
Just a month. The men were all sleeping when they all awoke to the feeling of being thrown violently airborne before landing in the raft again. When they looked beneath the boat, they were met with the jet black eyes of a great white shark who had just punched them all airborne from beneath.
Wait, so these were not like great whites in the beginning, and then
Right.
they did their little shark call, and they're like, "Hey, no, we need the badass biggest shark.
We need Big Mama.
We
to
need the
come in."
mafia shark."
Yes. So the mob boss, the final boss, appears, and they estimated that this shark was almost 20 feet long. This is like the Jaws shark. This is,
Yeah.
I looked it up. They can get that big. It's
Yeah.
rare, but it happens.
Yeah.
They could do nothing but hold each other as the shark repeatedly whacked the boat with its massive tail. This shark is just like,
Double the size of what they were dealing with.
yeah, and it's just flinging them around the ocean for fun.
Oh my gosh.
Eventually, though, the shark got bored and gave up. But none of the men slept for the rest of the night.
No. I'm still shocked all three of them are still alive.
It's wild. It really is. But here we go. In the coming days, Mac, who had already been a shell of himself since the crash, began to quickly decline.
Okay, well, here we go. I'm always talking too soon.
You jinxed it.
I am.
His eyes were sunken and he rarely spoke, choosing instead to blankly stare off into the distance. One evening, Mac spoke up, quietly asking the other men if they thought he would die. Louis felt it disrespectful to lie to the man and told him gently that he thought Mac wouldn't make it through the night. Mac said nothing further, and all three men held each other and fell asleep. Louis woke up to the sound of Mac taking his final breath and heard the man silently slip away.
So fucking sad after all that time.
I know. And I do feel that we have all earned a break at this point.
Yes, I could definitely use one.
I'm so sweaty. Okay, we're back. Still
Unfortunately.
sweaty and stressed out. And I've just informed Shauna that I'm taking notes on the story as I'm covering it. I literally don't know how it ends yet.
She doesn't know the full story, you guys. I don't understand.
I've never done this before, but I really don't want spoilies. So I'm just like reading this book, taking notes. And
Way
then
to be different.
on like the most wild story imaginable. I'm just like, I'm in this with y'all.
Truly.
I also don't know how it's ending, so we're all in it together.
It's so crazy.
Okay.
So the guy died, and all they can do is huddle and cuddle, and that's where you left us.
Yes, that's where we're at. On the 34th day on the sea, Phil and Louis wrap Mac in a section of the deflated raft and held a small service for him as they commended his body to the sea. So they're not going the cannibal route.
Okay,
Although many sailors have done that.
And still, I wouldn't judge it.
No.
Absolutely not.
Not all, but they're like, we can't. So after
the fact
more...
that they still like take the time to do like an
service.
honorable service.
I know.
Like, oh my gosh, my heartstrings.
But it's like they were all each other had for like over a month, and like Max saved them on several occasions, even though he did eat all the chocolate.
Did eat all the chocolate.
But like he did like save them from like sharks and like, so, you know, even though they weren't close before.
And they survived all that time together as three, and it's like probably so sad
Just
for the
two.
other two. Like, wow, we're
Yeah.
down to two now. Like, we lost it. What's gonna happen?
Yeah. So after more than 5 weeks on the raft, the men had now endured, at that time, the longest known stretch of survival on the open ocean in a raft. Mm-hmm. The two men were now skin and bones and covered in salt sores. The meager food and water they acquired now stretched further with one man gone, but their hunger pangs were fading, which is a sign of the final stages of starvation.
Oh, so you don't get hungry.
Yeah, when you stop feeling hungry, that's a bad sign.
Oh, wow.
Their minds were still sharp, though, and the two friends still spoke endlessly and quizzed each other about their lives to pass the time. Past the 40th day, the men started to see more birds and spotted tiny planes far in the distance. On the 46th day, the day Phil predicted they would hit land, a storm came upon them, tossing the raft high on the sea swells. Phil loved the storms and treated each wave like a roller coaster.
He's like, wee! I mean, might as well make the best of
Enjoy
it.
the moment. But this time at the top of the swells, the men saw a smudge of something in the distance. They knew what it was immediately. An island. Wow. Land. As the current pulled them closer, Louis and Phil saw that it was actually a string of small islands grouped together. From their studies, they knew they had to either be the Marshall Islands or the Gilbert Islands. Both were, unfortunately, enemy territory. The men decided to row closer to the islands and try and look for one that seemed uninhabited, so that they could maybe land and like sneak on
Not get killed.
Yeah, right. Their plans were complicated, however, by that huge storm, which had waves as high as 40 feet with heavy rainfall and winds ripping them around the sea. Sometimes they felt the raft go airborne as the wave threw them into the air. The men clung to the raft as the typhoon raged through the night, but by morning the storm had broken and the men woke to the smell of damp earth, which would be so wild after smelling
probably
nothing.
Distinct.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a different smell. Whoa.
Yeah, it's crazy. They had drifted between two islands. One was spotted with empty huts, but they saw no people. There were Japanese planes high overhead, but the planes didn't see Louis or Phil as they rowed towards the shore. As the men neared the island, they thought they spotted another island nearby, but were quickly horrified to learn that it wasn't an island they were seeing. It was a boat. They rowed as fast as their tired arms would let them, but it was no use. They had been spotted by the ship, which raced to their location. The first thing they saw was a machine gun, and then a line of Japanese men staring down at them. Oh my God. One of the Japanese men made them open their shirts to check for weapons. They had none, of course. Another fun fact, the raft was like deteriorating as they were in it, and so all of the yellow paint and dye that had been on the raft got on their skin, so they also look bright yellow.
Oh my God.
So they look
extra
insane,
sickly and
like
weird.
Skin and bones, bearded, scraggly,
Hair,
yellow,
burnt, sores,
Yeah.
yellow. Yeah. Whoa, what a sight.
I know. I can't imagine what they looked like. So they have all of these dudes staring down at them. Then a rope was thrown down to Louis. The men were too weak to climb So a rope ladder was thrown down instead, and the 2 men were pulled aboard. After 47 days of being castaways,
He was right. 47.
they were now prisoners of war.
Oh, okay. Well, yeah. I mean, so yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, you don't. Nope.
Yep.
Yep. That's where you get part 2. Like,
That's literally where we will return next episode for part 2.
that sucks because they still have a ways to go.
Yeah, girl. Like, they made it through all that, and then just to be
But it's by
at
the enemy.
They're like a kiss away from land.
Oh my God.
And get captured.
That's true. Okay. So they didn't make it to land, but on the 47th. Wow. Okay. Crazy town.
I know. And the fact that they got the math right, too, is astounding. Like,
Right? That's
how?
crazy coincidence.
Yeah. So, yeah.
Okay, well, wow, what a story. I can't wait for part 2. You're insane. The story's insane. I need to take a shower.
I'm so sweaty, you guys. Like, I'm drenched in sweat. It's kind of hot up here. I drank too much coffee. Yeah, I need to eat something.
Very true. Okay, so real quick to wrap this up.
Yes.
We need to shout out a city of the week.
Yeah, city of the week. Let's do
Let's
it.
do it. And that goes to, and it's taking every ounce of me to not bust out in song and of Hairspray because it's Baltimore, Maryland.
Oh, good musical.
Oh, it used to be one of my favorites.
Thanks, Baltimore.
Baltimore, Maryland, we see you. Hello.
Thanks for listening.
We appreciate you.
I hope you enjoy your shout out.
Thanks for listening.
If you've made it this far and haven't passed out
Like,
from stress.
Right. Okay, cool.
Do you want to mention anything you've been listening or watching?
I have HBO Max now, and I watched Smartless on the Road, which is the podcast with Will Arnett and Jason Bateman and Sean Hayes, and it's so funny, and I recommend it.
Oh, I've
That's
always
fine.
wanted to try out their podcast.
They don't even like show the show. It's like them preparing for the show, so it's like a lot of them in the hotel room. So it's like them just being themselves together, and it's really funny.
I love all of them individually, so I'm sure together they're hilarious.
Jason Bateman's a lot weirder than I thought.
Really?
Yeah, he's a very particular man.
Huh.
I love him though.
Okay. Well,
He's funny.
That's a good rec. I like that.
Yep. Watch that, you guys.
Watch
because
it.
this episode was you need a
something
funny.
light.
You need something light and funny.
Yeah.
Yep. Catch that.
Okay.
All
I
right.
don't have anything.
All right. Well, good up.
And good night. All right, credits are short and sweet. I read the book Unbroken by Laura Hillenbrand and looked at wikipedia.com. Our music is by Broke for Free and Matt Edwards, and we are edited by Michael.
All right. Should I list our social needs?
Please do.
We have a lot of our things at Anxious and Afraid the Pod. So that's our handle for both of our Facebook page and group, along with our Instagram and Gmail.
We have a Twitter at AA the Pod.
You can support us on patreon.com/anxious and afraid.
If you do that, you get some pretty nice perks. You get ad-free episodes that are released a whole day early, and you get a free sticker.
You can also support us for free if you can't do any of that by leaving a rate review. You subscribe to the show, tell your friends.
Yeah, we would appreciate all of it. Do it right now.